WSAZ News Channel 3, 6 o'clock.
Now at 6, pedestrians hit. 2 people in the hospital recovering. 1 person's behind bars after a shopping trip turned upside down.
Plus, child neglect. The disturbing details of 2 kids living in horrible conditions now come to the surface. Good evening. I'm Timmy Irr in Huntington.
I'm Amanda Barren in Charleston. Thanks for joining us. First tonight, a 9-month-old who was sexually abused Monday morning has died, according to the Jackson County Sheriff, Tony Boggs. The infant was in the hospital being treated for injuries that she received on Monday. According to family, she was declared brain dead earlier today. Now, we can tell you that this man is being charged for her death, Benjamin Taylor. Deputies were called to the home on Meadowlark Lane in Ripley on Monday. They found the baby covered in blood. Taylor told them he blacked out and didn't know what happened. Deputies say blood was on Taylor's clothing. He is being held in the South Central Regional Jail.
A student is facing disciplinary action after a bus driver says he found a gun in the student's bag.
It happened this afternoon in the Crown Hill area of eastern Kanawha County. The bus driver says he heard students talking about a gun, so he pulled the bus over. News Channel 3's Nathan Tackett joins us now live near where the bus stopped. And Nathan, deputies are talking a little more about that gun tonight and whether or not it was operational.
Well, Amanda, school officials told me that the gun was missing a cylinder and some other pieces as well, and it was not capable of firing any rounds. Of course, the bus driver didn't know that when she pulled over in this lot across from Crown Hill equipment in this area of eastern Kanawha County. She pulled over after hearing that gun chatter among the students. School officials say the bus driver immediately pulled over and discovered a small .22 caliber handgun. She confiscated the child's backpack and the gun and immediately called Kanawha County Sheriff's deputies. School officials say the gun was apparently a family heirloom, and the child's family said he took it to school by accident. School officials say they do not believe the student planned on hurting anyone. Still, they're following school policy on guns. That student has been suspended, and school officials say they were happy an alert bus driver followed her protocol for a potentially dangerous situation.
A situation where a student might have a weapon in a backpack, for instance, we want to make sure we separate the two, get the backpack away from the student or the student away from the backpack where they don't have possession of it and don't have the means to actually access the weapon. This was done quickly.
Well, as a result, school officials say that student will now have to go through the expulsion protocol. We'll see how that goes going forward. Amanda, in the meantime, while the bus was stopped here off of this roadway, students, including the student with the gun, were kept under wraps by the bus driver on the bus until deputies came and then until parents came to pick their students up right here from this spot.
All right, Nathan, thanks so much. Those with Kanawha County schools say disciplinary action, as Nathan mentioned, will be taken against this student. A home full of animal feces and trash, just 2 of the reasons 2 little children are no longer in their parents' care.
Both are under the age of 5 and were partially dressed when deputies found them. Investigators told News Channel 3's Katie Anderson the conditions at that home were some of the worst they've ever seen.
This couple, Daniel and Jessica Ward, are now in jail after Kanawha County deputies say they found their 2 kids inside this home covered in trash and animal feces. Deputies say the 2 children are both under the age of 5 and have been removed from the home.
It was just very deplorable conditions, and they were happy to get the children out of there.
Lieutenant Brian Humphrey says a deputy was at this home on Whispering Oaks Lane in St. Albans, delivering court documents when he saw the condition the children were living in and reported it. When deputies arrived Tuesday morning for a welfare check, they found 1 child naked and the other partially dressed, a sight not uncommon for neighbors.
Children in the windows in the nude. They're never outside.
Inside the home, deputies say there were several piles of animal feces, dirty diapers, mold, and smeared feces on the wall.
There was a bed that had cigarette butts and feces in it, and that's where one of the children was sleeping.
Neighbors who did not want to be identified say the family kept to themselves.
Very seldom see them out, and when you do, usually they don't have any clothes or they're just by themselves.
A heartbreaking story for neighbors to hear.
Oh, it breaks my heart because the kids don't deserve that. They deserve better.
But say they hope some good will come for the children. Katie Anderson, WSAZ News Channel 3, Kanawha County.
Daniel and Jessica Ward are being held at South Central Regional on a $10,000 bond. A man is facing serious charges tonight after police say he ran over two people in a Walmart parking lot. Now, this happened last night at the store on Route 60 in Huntington. The troopers say the two women were simply in the crosswalk when the driver ran them right over. News Channel 3's Caitlin LeBeau joins us now. And Caitlin, investigators say the driver was distracted in actually more ways than one.
Right. Troopers tell me the driver not only admitted to being on his cell phone behind the wheel, but they also believe he was under the influence of drugs. Jonathan Hensley is facing several charges today, including DUI, causing serious bodily injury, as well as reckless driving. Troopers say this happened around 8 o'clock last night in the Walmart parking lot. Hensley's accused of running over the two women, even pinning one of them under the SUV. Both were taken to the hospital. One of those women is still in critical condition and the other is stable. Today we talked to a witness who was at that scene. She says she called 911 and prayed with one of those victims to comfort her.
Their life will never be the same because someone made a decision, a conscious decision, to alter their lives. He did something to alter his body and his mind and his way of thinking, and now it's changed these ladies' lives forever. And it is frustrating. It's very frustrating. It's sad beyond words.
She's just one of several people who rushed over there to help. And investigators are still waiting on Hensley's blood test to come back, but they say from what they gathered at the scene, he was under the influence. According to the criminal complaint, Hensley was acting inconsistently, Tim. His mood was changing. He was often calling the officer bro, and it also says that Hensley showed no empathy for the victims at the time.
All right, Caitlin. The criminal complaint also says that Hensley told them he had an addiction to prescription opioid meds. He said he received an injection earlier that day that helps prevent relapses into substance abuse. However, officers say they did not find any documentation to back up that claim.
Police are searching for a man who they say robbed a bank this morning. It happened about 9:30 at the United Bank on McCorkle Avenue in the Kanawha City area. Charleston police say they have surveillance video of what they believe to be the suspect's vehicle right there, speeding away from the bank. It's a Chevy Equinox, light in color, looks like maybe a champagne color. The suspect was wearing a mask, a wig, and an all-white hat with the West Virginia logo.
If you are suspicious that you know who committed this bank robbery, we do accept anonymous phone calls, and we will follow every lead. So we believe that someone somewhere is going to recognize some aspect of this robbery and have a suspicion about the suspect.
Police say the suspect showed a gun and demanded money at the bank and then took off with an unknown amount of cash. A man wanted out of Illinois for allegedly kidnapping a teen and her baby waived extradition this morning. Deputies in Madison County, Illinois now have 14 days to come pick up that man, Christopher Derleth. He was arrested in Kanawha County last week, you might remember, after a nationwide Amber Alert claimed that he had his 13-year-old stepdaughter and her 2-week-old son. U.S. Marshals found them on September 24th at a makeshift campsite in the Kayford area of Cabin Creek. Investigators say numerous tips from the public helped them track him down. A man wanted in 2 states for fraud has been arrested after impersonating a police officer. David Forney was arrested today in St. Albans by the cuffed task force. Investigators say he was calling people requesting donations for the Fraternal Order of Police and Sheriff's Deputies Associations. Forney would then pick up the donated money and keep it, according to the task force. He's also wanted on charges of fraud in Texas. The downturn in the coal industry has had devastating consequences on southern West Virginia, and the ripple effects have been felt all across the state. Some of the loss of jobs is a result of stricter EPA regulations, and a few West Virginia lawmakers heard from neighbors in the hardest hit areas today at a Senate hearing in Logan County. As WSAZ Charleston's Jatera McGee explains, the hearing was an opportunity for these folks to send a message directly to Washington.
When the EPA increased regulations meant to create cleaner, safer air, it also aided in the downturn in the coal industry as companies cut back to meet new guidelines. West Virginia's economy was turned on its head. Wednesday, Senator Shelley Moore Capito met with southern West Virginia residents alongside Senator Manchin and Congressman Jenkins for a Senate hearing in Logan County.
They need to put a face to the problem instead of just sitting behind a desk reading some papers and say, oh, this looks great, but in actuality, you're just laid off 100,000 people.
In southern West Virginia, there's no escaping the meaning of coal, especially if you're a minor.
I got 2 kids and a wife to depend on me, very small kids.
Jordan Bridges from Logan County has watched his community suffer.
It's not just a southern West Virginia issue, it's an entire state issue.
But Bridges still has a job. Bill Copley doesn't.
I'm a husband to 1, a father to 3, proud West Virginian, and unfortunately a former coal miner.
Copley is one of 5 testifying today.
I was formerly employed at Colmac Incorporated in Holden, West Virginia.
He has the burden of an entire state on his shoulders.
In our great state, it is a tremendous honor that I don't take lightly.
Today is about having their voices heard.
Repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. It's like it falls on deaf ears, you know.
And hoping their words and meaning echo all the way to Washington. Jatera McGee, WSAZ News Channel 3, Logan County.
And today's Senate hearing was a bipartisan effort. A defiant Don Blankenship is calling himself an American political prisoner. The ex-Massey Energy CEO has been in prison since May for conspiring to violate mine safety standards at the Upper Big Branch mine. He is blaming others for the mine explosion that killed those 29 men. Blankenship says he plans to distribute 250,000 copies of a 67-page letter. In it, he wrote that politicians imprisoned him for political self-serving reasons. Oral arguments in his federal appeal are scheduled for later this month. A new strategic plan could mean some changes coming to downtown Charleston in the future. The plan is now headed to City Council after being passed last night by the Committee on Urban Renewal. It includes long-term recommendations to improve the city's atmosphere that leaders hope will stimulate new private investment in the city. Ideas proposed in this plan include cutting down on dilapidated buildings, changing the one-way streets to 2 ways, and creating more pedestrian-friendly areas, along with adding some retail along Smith Street near Power Park. The plan now heads to Charleston City Council for final approval. We have a health alert for you tonight. The West Nile virus has been detected in Kanawha County. A mosquito pool tested positive. That's according to the Kanawha-Charleston Health Department. Now that pool is being monitored. The virus can cause symptoms like body aches, rashes, headaches, joint pain, but no symptoms can surface sometimes. That makes it difficult. The health department suggests wearing long sleeves and long pants and using insect repellent and removing standing water from around your home. If you think you have West Nile symptoms, you should call your doctor. Well, kiddos ditched the bus and mom and dad or grandma and grandpa's car this morning to lace up their sneakers and walk to class. We walked to St. Agnes Elementary School in Kanawha City with a handful of students today. It's all a part of International Walk to School Day. The purpose is to create safer routes for walking and cycling, and the emphasis, well, it's to show that physical activity is important, and this is a good way that kids can get it. The activist who spent the last 3 years at the state capitol handing out cookies and talking water is continuing her fight against water protection. Today, Lori Mangana read her new book for the first time to a preschool class at Weberwood Elementary. After the 2014 chemical spill in Kanawha County, she says she found herself joining citizen action groups and fighting for water protection. Her new book, called Water Drop, tells the story of a girl and her dog who hiked through West Virginia finding ways to protect water drops from what she calls black, stinky invaders.
I hope that they learn about water, that they learn to appreciate it, and then they learn what to do to help protect it, not only by what they do at home, but maybe what they can do to start using their voice to impact the environment and our state laws and national laws.
Mangana says the picture book is designed for children preschool age through 3rd grade. She wrote it to teach kids about conservation and about government.
First warning weather.
Here's your weather in motion. Time lapse from our West Virginia Lottery weather cam in Point Pleasant and Gallipolis, showing us a few fair weather clouds, but a mostly sunny sky and temperatures a good 10 degrees above average. Hello, I'm meteorologist Josh Fitzpatrick in for Tony tonight. Let's get you set up for the rest of your Wednesday night and Thursday ahead. We're going to fall through the 70s this evening and then 60s by the time you join us for News Channel 3 tonight at 11. 50s in the morning with a little bit of fog, but comfortable conditions overall in the 50s through 9 a.m. It's in the upper 70s now, Tri-State, Kanawha Valley, but 60s over the mountain counties with a cooler easterly wind flow, so it will be much cooler east than west the next couple of days. Satellite radar shows a couple of weakening showers well to our west earlier today. Barely a cloud in the sky across the Ohio, Big Sandy, and the Kanawha Valleys. High pressure is the name of the game, going to be parking itself right over top of us through Friday, and then some active weather will try to head our way by later on Saturday. The best chance of rain Saturday is going to be over eastern counties. There's powerful Hurricane Matthew getting better organized now as it moves over the southern Bahama Islands, southeast of Florida. There's Miami. Here's the Nassau, Bahama, and the islands here is going to continue to track to the north and west overnight. The winds up to 120 miles per hour. That is a Category 3 hurricane, major hurricane. Here's the track. It's going to take it into the southeast coast of Florida, north of Miami, into later tomorrow night and early on Friday as a Category 4 hurricane. Significant issues out here up along I-95 here into Florida, into areas near Jacksonville and into Daytona Beach and into Orlando. And then it moves back out into the open waters just barely southeast of Charleston and Hilton Head in South Carolina as a Category 2 hurricane early on Saturday morning, and then it will shift to the south and east and do a loop back to the north and west early next week. But no direct impacts here at home from Hurricane Matthew. In fact, we're going to see a few clouds increase over eastern counties, and on Friday off to the east there's a chance for a couple of showers, but mainly over southeastern parts of West Virginia on Friday, as it will be much cooler for Beckley and up to Summersville. Let's detail your forecast. In your first warning report tonight, temperatures will be a little bit above average in the 50s overnight from Charleston, Hamlin over to Elkview. The mountains a little cooler, upper 40s to low 50s. And your Charleston Thursday forecast, mostly sunny here in the valley, warm in the low 80s. However, east towards the mountains, Fayette, Nicholas, and Raleigh counties, you'll be stuck in the low 70s mainly. And your Kanawha Valley 7-day forecast up to about 80 on Friday, cooler towards the east. The mountain counties could have a shower on Saturday in morning into the afternoon. That's the best chance of rain will be mainly east of the Kanawha Valley, and mostly cloudy skies, cooling on down to the 70s Saturday, upper 60s Sunday, and Amanda feeling more like the season next week with highs around 70 to 73 degrees.
All right, Josh, thanks so much. Well, new couches, beds, and tables are heading to the homes of dozens of families affected by the flooding back in June. 50 families today received $1,000 gift cards from Ashley Furniture's home store, all because of a partnership with voluntary agencies active in disaster. 6 of the families spent the afternoon shopping for furniture at employee pricing.
When you start putting furniture and things back into a house, it really kind of puts it together.
Makes it home again.
Oh, in addition to the donated furniture, Ashley Furniture will be delivering and setting up the purchased items at no cost to the families. Still ahead for you here at 6, tough injury news for a former Mountaineer, and the Herd hopes to put 4 quarters together on Saturday. Keith is in next.
Good evening, Keith Morehouse with sports. If it weren't for bad luck, former West Virginia star Kevin White wouldn't have any luck at all in his NFL career thus far. Another debilitating injury to deal with. The former first-round draft pick of the Bears having his best game in Chicago, but he was injured in the 3rd quarter of the game the other day. Now he's been placed on injured reserve with a fractured left fibula and a high ankle sprain. Surgery is an option. White had caught 19 balls this season, missed his entire rookie year with a stress fracture in his shin, so we may or may not see him again this season. You can't exactly say they're the mean green again, not just yet, but North Texas getting angrier by the game. They're 2-3 this season, which is an improvement, and waiting on the Herd to visit Saturday. Marshall hopes to see more Dr. Jekyll than Mr. Hyde. The Herd giving very little resistance against Pitt in the first half as the Panthers jumped out to a 27-0 lead. Then Marshall seemed to wake up. At one point, they had outscored Pitt 27-3 in the second half, only to come up short in the loss. Now, no matter how you slice it, Marshall is 1-3, and it is conference time. So they need to play 60 minutes, not 30.
Oh, yeah, this is new season now, 0-0. Championship game every time we step on the field from here on out, so it's important.
As you see, last Saturday we played only a half. The second half. Now is the time for us, to come together and play a whole nice good 60 minutes and see what the team can actually do. We see is all the coaches and players we see is there. but just for some reason we just can't all put it together, and I think that's going to be our key things to put it all together.
All right, the Buckeyes taking on Indiana. Yeah, who's your daddy, right? Look at this series. 71-12-5 in favor of Ohio State. The last loss at Indiana was in '88. The last loss in Columbus was '87. And the last time they played, Buckeyes won at 42-27. And it's not just the offense that's rolling at this time in the season for Urban Meyer. The defense, too.
Anytime you have great defense, that's just the way the game of football is. You have great defense, things are going to get usually rolling for you at some point, even if you struggle a little bit. And then the fact that you have, J.T. Barrett running the show, it's pretty smooth. He's even when he makes a mistake, it's not usually it's not an awful one, and we can rally right back up. But it starts with defense.
And also the Bobcats, they're coming off a win. They take on Bowling Green at Peden, and Kentucky hosts Vanderbilt. Did you see the finish last night in Toronto? Yeah, Edwin Encarnacion, the former Cincinnati Red with 2 men on in the 9th. And the Blue Jays soar past the Orioles in the wild card game, and that sets up tonight's battle. You talk about a pitcher's duel. If you like pitching, check this out. Madison Bumgarner for the Giants up against Noah Syndergaard. Thor, this one at 8 o'clock at Citi Field. Should be a great ball game. We'll have highlights later on. All right, Tim, Josh, and Amanda back after this.
Well, thanks so much for spending part of your evening with us. Nightly News is coming up next.
And don't forget, you can always catch us on WSAZ Mobile and WSAZ.com. Have a great evening. Enjoy that beautiful continued summer weather.